Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope you're all doing well as usual. So I'm back today with another episode or another edition of Hard Rock Heavy Metal Vinyl. So I don't really keep numerical track of these, but I think it's volume 10. I could be wrong, don't quote me on that. In any event, the real title will be down below. But yeah, this is just where I'm continuing to show vinyl in that hard rock / heavy metal category, you could say. So you may recall in the last video, in the last edition of this, I showed 1 Keel album and 4 Kiss albums. So today I'm going to show 5 albums, and just speaking candidly and honestly, that's continuing with Kiss. So you will immediately know if this video is for you or not. I do understand that most viewers of this channel will not be interested or won't care about this video because a lot of you don't like Kiss, it seems, but I know some of you do. So anyway, yeah, all of these albums I've actually spoken about before when showing the CDs. Like you may recall I did a 70s Kiss albums ranking and an 80s Kiss albums ranking, and then I also did another video where I showed like live albums and solo albums and so on. So all of these albums I've discussed before. So today is more of a show and tell. I'm not going to talk about the music as much, but maybe just a little bit, a quick overview to give you some idea if you're not familiar. So anyway, yeah, the last album I showed in this series was this album, Rock and Roll Over by Kiss. So today we are moving to Love Gun from 1977. So I did want to kind of save this in the sense that I know I've done a Kiss ranking before, but since the majority of you don't care about Kiss, I can just give this spoiler alert. This is my favorite 70s Kiss album. It was when they were at the peak of their success, like 1977, so they were really exploding after Alive, and then every album was success after success. But musically, this album is just brilliant. It just shows, in my opinion, the band firing on all cylinders. It's got a really 70s flavor. It's a great collaborative effort because all 4 members write songs, and it was the first Kiss album to feature all 4 individual members on lead vocals, because this was the first album where Ace Frehley sang. So he sang on Shock Me, that was his debut vocal song, you could say. Yeah, but just really good. Like this album does have a lot of hits on it too, which are well deserved to be famous, but there's also a lot of deep cuts. This is an old vinyl version, and I think I've mentioned this before, but in the old days with vinyls, for some dumb fucked reason, which I'll never understand, they always jumbled up the song titles, you know, like out of sync with the way in which they appear on the album. I just don't fucking get that. But anyway, there you go. But this album has a lot of great hits like Love Gun, the title track, of course. Also, I Stole Your Love, Christine 16, which is a catchy song, although lyrically dubiously. That song has not aged well, but like musically it's a catchy song. So they were the kind of biggest hits. But there are so many deep cuts on this which I don't think get enough recognition. Like God Love for Sale is good, Tomorrow and Tonight is good, like a reprise of Rock and Roll All Night. Almost Human is fantastic. I really like Plaster Caster, one of my favorite songs. That was one of the first Kiss songs I ever heard, actually, through a Lemonheads cover, of all places, so that's kind of cool. And yeah, Shock Me, Ace's vocal debut is great. Peter's song on this is Hooligan, and it's one of my favorite Peter songs. And the album concludes with a cover of And Then She Kissed Me, the old song from the 50s. You know, they've done various, but like, it does sound corny, but it actually works. So really good stuff. I love this iconic artwork, you know, with all the groupies and everything. It's just awesome. And I'll give you a little bit of background about this. I actually received this as a birthday gift from my girlfriend at the time, like a while ago, many years ago now, but she bought me this in secret, and that was very cool. It was purchased at a market in Thailand. But what's really interesting is the inside of this, so I'll just show you that. Like I said, this is going to be more of a show and tell. But first of all, you have the inner sleeve with blood, and then this is the original album, Casablanca. I think it's an original pressing, actually. I think this one could be a pressing, fucking hell, sorry about that. This one could be a pressing from the US. And I'll show you why. I could be wrong, this could be my monumental naivety. But that's what this came with. Actually, this mail order catalog form, which says Kiss Wants You. It's like a recruitment form for the Kiss Army. And it's hyping up that comic which they released in 1978 where they added their own vials of blood. So the sight of blood. And look at this. Hot goods from the supply depot. So this is an actual genuine Kiss Army order form. presumably from the 1970s. So like I said, this was purchased in Thailand. I'm not sure if it's an American pressing, but very nice of my girlfriend at the time to get this for me. And yeah, absolutely brilliant. It's my favorite 70s Kiss album, so Love Gun. All right. So with these albums today, it's also going to be in chronological order. So up next, I'm going to go with some of the solo albums which came out, because Love Gun came out in '77. Then in 1978, all 4 members simultaneously released solo albums. So I own 3 of those, not 4, but here's Ace Frehley, rest in peace. Absolute legend, the lead guitarist, the spaceman, Space Ace of Kiss, rest in peace, passed away last year. I did show this way back early on in my channel when I was going through hard rock heavy metal vinyl, because Ace Frehley has released a lot of solo albums over the years, so I included that in that bunch as well, but I'm just going to reiterate this because this is a Kiss video. But yep, this one came out on Picture Disc. I bought this one in Thailand as well. In a nutshell, I think this is the best of the Kiss solo albums, in my opinion. It's Ace Frehley sticking to the hard rock formula of Kiss, but incorporating his own influences, particularly with the vocal style. So I think the biggest influences on this would be Jimi Hendrix, The Who, and Eric Clapton, stuff like that. And even Rolling Stones, like with the lead vocal style on Speedin' Back to My Baby, it sounds a bit Mick Jagger-esque. But you know what I say, just very sort of heavy, psychedelic at times, hard-hitting 70s rock, and it's absolutely fantastic, very catchy. I really like Ace's voice. You know, a lot of people don't, but it's got a lot of character, so just love this album. You know all the songs. Rip It Out, fantastic aggressive opener. Speedin' Back to My Baby is a really good song. Snowblind, Ozone, both awesome. They're more sort of like hypnotic, which is cool. What's on Your Mind, very catchy sort of pop rock song. The song which the album was most famous for is, of course, New York Groove, which is a good song. And then you've got the sort of like spaced out psychedelic vibes of I'm in Need of Love, which is good. A lot of people say Wiped Out was a filler, but I like it. It's very upbeat and catchy. And then the album closes with my favorite song, which is of course Fractured Mirror. It's very rare for me to say, like, by a singing band that an instrumental is my favorite song, but on this album, Fractured Mirror definitely is. It just has this like incredibly 70s hard rock flavor, which is infused with a bit of psychedelia. I absolutely love it. So, especially with all of the sound effects and Ace's guitar skills, you know, go without saying on this album. Brilliant leads, absolutely rocking. So here we have the back to Gene, Paul, and Peter. Yeah, right. It's funny, they all dedicated solo albums to each other. At that time, they just really didn't like each other. So there's the picture disc. Yeah, good stuff. And I'll just show you this. This is just the inlay to show you can order all of these. But at the shop I was at in Thailand, they only happened to have the Ace Frehley one, but that was the one I wanted most at the time. So yeah, absolutely great. My favorite of the solo albums from 1978, Ace Frehley. Okay, coming up to another solo album, which I have shown before in a collection update. This is Paul Stanley, so the Star Child, the starry-eyed lover, vocalist and co-lead vocalist and rhythm guitarist of Kiss. An absolute legend. Like I think a lot of people would say, it's fair to say he's almost like the face of Kiss. Even though like a lot of people would say Gene Simmons is, in terms of his like demon persona and everything, but as in and Gene sings a lot of lead vocals as well, but in terms of like the front man, the band leader, even though they didn't really have one, it would probably, a lot of people would see that as Paul. So yes, very iconic and important member of the band. Like Ace Frehley's album, this one stuck to the hard rock formula of Kiss as well. And as I've mentioned before, I think this album sounds the most Kiss-like of the 4 solo albums, but that's not surprising because Paul Stanley was Kiss's frontman and wrote a lot of the big hits and sang a lot of the songs, so it makes sense. But there are also some changes on this album. It's not completely Kiss-like. Like you have some kind of bluesy, not experimental, but kind of bluesy and somber tracks like Ain't Quite Right, which is really good. Then you have some songs which are more like power pop, like Wouldn't You Like to Know Me? And then you have some sort of like reflective, thoughtful songs like Take Me Away Together as One. Yeah, and then you also have the banging, hard-hitting rockers as well. So it's got a lot of everything. So album starts with Tonight You Belong to Me, which has got a great guitar riff. It's absolutely brilliant. After a kind of dreamy intro, Move On is a great hard-hitting catchy rock song. And I've always thought the song Move On has a bit of a Beatles vibe, like, you know, more with like the Beatles' heavier songs like Hard Day's Night or Back in the USSR. But is that far-fetched of me? I don't know, but I really like that song Move On. Great chorus. Ain't Quite Right, like I said, kind of bluesy track, which is good. Wouldn't You Like to Know Me, even though it's power pop, it's just so incredibly catchy, and I like this sort of heavy double bass drumming in that. Very, very catchy pre-chorus in Wouldn't You Like to Know Me. Take Me Today, sorry, Take Me Away, Together as One. That has got a kind of Led Zeppelin vibe. Yeah, I would say like it reminds me of Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You or something like that. Yeah, that's got like a really sort of somber atmosphere, and the chorus is fantastic. Like, that's a song which has grown on me a lot. It's Alright is another straightforward, hard-hitting rocker, very catchy, like vocally, which is absolutely great. Now, perhaps the only song I don't like on the album is Hold Me, Touch Me, Think of Me When We're Apart. It's a like sentimental ballad and love song, and it's even sort of more ballady than a Kiss ballad, but it's okay, but it's just not the kind of stuff I really like. And then Loving Chains, a very Kiss-like hard rock song, and then Goodbye, a kind of like thoughtful, atmospheric closer. So yeah, love this whole album. Just the only song I don't like all that much is Hold Me, Touch Me, Think of Me When We're Apart, but that's about it. But still not, it's certainly not bad, it's just okay to me. So there's the cover, song titles on the back, and of course all of these were color coordinated, like Ace was blue, Paul is purple. Show you the inside. Okay, so it just comes with this sleeve showing the 4 albums. Again, original pressing, Casablanca Records. I got this one in Thailand too at Fortune Town, so I'm not sure where the pressing is from. It doesn't come with any artworks or anything, because like I said, this is probably a bootleg version. Not bootlegged, but like a hand-me-down copy, so it probably doesn't contain everything. But yeah, great album, Paul Stanley from the Kiss solo albums. Okay, and now I'm going to show one more solo album, and that is Peter Criss. Yep, so the Catman, the drummer and co-lead vocalist of Kiss, the original, the only Catman, by the way. Like, I know, like later on, Eric Singer took over that persona, and he did do a good job, but there's only one person you can call the Catman, just like one person you can call the Spaceman, Ace Frehley. Like, Tommy did a great job in that lead role, but you can't say he is the Spaceman, in my opinion. Just like you can't say Eric Singer is the Catman. But anyway, Peter, the original Cat, and I've defended this album countlessly, and I continue to do so. Most people say that this is their least favorite of the Kiss solo albums, and I can sort of understand why, because if you're expecting hard rock, you don't get it. A lot of this is like big, like bluesy or big band kind of stuff, in addition to soul and jazz, and it's loaded with ballads. So it's not really that typical hard rock, but I think it's Peter drawing on his influences, because he came from that sort of R&B, jazz, bluesy kind of background. So it makes sense. So that was the point. It would be boring if all solo albums sounded the same. So he just went with his heart on this one. And I remember in his book, even though it got terrible reception and most people hated it, he was really proud of this. And I can understand why, because I think it's a great album. It's one of those albums where most people don't like it, but then you occasionally get someone, like my brother, for instance, he also really likes it. I know some other people really do. It's cool because it's just so different to all of the other ones. So yeah, iconic Catman whiskers and makeup. But yeah, this one I actually got at Concerto Records in Amsterdam. So it was a brand new copy, and it's got all of the goodies inside. So yeah, it starts off with I'm Gonna Love You, you know, which has got that very big band sound. You Matter to Me is sort of like a 70s ballad, which is cool. Tossin' and Turnin', the cover of the blues song, which is very upbeat. Peter's vocals on that are fantastic. Now, like I said, this album's loaded with ballads, and I think the ballads on here are better than Peter's big hit ballad with Kiss, which was, of course, Beth. I understand why Beth became a monumental hit, because it was so incredible. Like, it had that like sweet, catchy melody, and all the chicks liked it, and all of that stuff. But I think the ballads that he did on this album are actually way better, even if they're just not as catchy. But like Don't You Let Me Down, that's the first ballad, and I really like that song. Like, it's very soulful and emotive. And Peter shows a different side to his vocals, the kind of like less raspy side, but they sound so good. That's the kind of Sugar Papa likes. That is like a snapshot of the 70s in terms of like sort of jazzy, soul-y kind of style, like very sort of upbeat and swing time, which is really cool. Great vocals on that. And then you have a few more ballads like Easy Thing. Oh, Easy Thing is a great ballad, like really powerful and monumental, especially with the string instruments and the drums. Kiss the Girl Goodbye is more like a psychedelic ballad, you could say, but like then you've got Rock Me Baby and Hooked on Rock and Roll, which are more bluesy, big band stuff, really upbeat. Rock Me Baby used to be my least favorite song on the album, but that's actually grown on me a lot, thanks to Peter's vocals as well. Hooked on Rock and Roll is a great song. That was the first song I ever heard from this album. And then it concludes with the very powerful, tear-jerking ballad, I Can't Stop the Rain, which is enough to make anyone cry, but you know, it's a really good song. So yeah, quite a few ballads on here, which are all great, and then showing his other influences. I really like it, so don't be put off by other people. If you haven't heard this, give it a try. I will still understand if you don't like it, but if you're interested in something different, check it out. So, sorry, when I get excited, I speak too quickly and then I can't speak properly, so please forgive me for that. All right. So this one is still in very good condition because I got it about 10 years ago in Amsterdam from Concerto Records, but as I said, it was brand new, so Casablanca labels there with Peter's face on it, which is cool. And inlay here showing all of the, not lyrics, just the credits. So I think Peter played drums on most of the songs and sang lead on all of them. To Ace, Paul and Gene, yeah, right, and to Michael Benvenga, whoever that was, yeah. Okay, and the one really cool thing about this is because it's the original, it comes with this poster, like a pop-up book, very cool. Look at that, absolutely splendid. So showing you different incarnations of Peter behind the drum set, collecting roses, singing Beth, all that cool stuff. And can you see here, it's sort of like a jigsaw puzzle, so it's not just a rectangular poster. But I assume that all of the albums, like if you buy them in original like this, you can get them. This is something worth framing actually, but I've just got to find some fucking frames which don't slide from the wall and smash. That's what happened to my Art Goat one and various Bewitched ones. But anyway, yeah, cool poster. And now the challenge is folding it up without damaging it. There we go. All right. Yep, so like I said, don't believe the haters. This is a great album. That's Peter Criss from 1978, his solo album. Okay, and just one more for today, guys, and I'm sure you're relieved about that, so this video won't be going on too long. Actually quite happy with the time as well. So I've shown Love Gun from 1977, all of the 1978 solo albums. The next year, of course, was 1979, and the album released was Dynasty. Great album, but I don't own it on vinyl. So then we moved from Dynasty to 1980s Unmasked. And this was actually bought for me by the same girlfriend on that birthday. So Love Gun, and she also bought me this, which was really cool. So grateful for this. If you haven't heard me say this, this was an interesting album, released in 1980. It was interesting for a few reasons. First of all, it was the first album to not feature the original lineup. By this stage, Peter Criss had been fired by the band, and even though he was credited on this album, you see it even shows his face, but the ghost drummer was actually Anton Fig, who later went on to perform with Ace Frehley's solo career as well. So, but it has all the remaining original members before, and then for the live tour, of course, Peter was replaced by Eric Carr, the Fox. But yeah, this album is cool. A lot of people hate it, again, because it's kind of regarded as a pop album. People called Dynasty the disco album just because it had I Was Made for Loving You, but that was the only disco song. But nevertheless, due to the commercial success of that album, the band later said, we wanted more of that success. So they started writing these kind of poppy or power pop songs, still blended with hard rock. So the result is like hard rock mixed with power pop, and it's very polished and nicely produced. Of course, a lot of diehard fans hated that, but I just think for what it is, it's very good. It's a snapshot of 1980, and it's got this really sort of nostalgic retro vibe, the whole album. So I know a lot of people hate this, viewers have told me, but yeah, really good. Again, all of the tracks are listed out of order because this is one of those dumb fucked old issues, but I can actually remember the order of the album. So Is That You is a great cover and opener. like a kind of hard rock but mixed with poppy elements. Shandy was the big hit from this album, and it's kind of a sentimental love song. Not terrible, but it's just not one of my favorites. Then after Ace came out of his shell with his solo album, he started singing a lot more songs on albums, so he sang 3 songs on this, the first of which was Talk to Me, again very poppy, but it's a really good song. Then Naked City, again very retro vibe, it's great. Easy As It Seems, I really like the keyboards in that song. What else do you have after that? Torpedo Girl, another Ace song, not one of my favorites, but still pretty good, like catchy and fun. Yeah, She's So European, that's a Gene song, not bad. So like all these songs, they're a bit poppy and hard rock, but good. Two Sides of the Coin is one of my favorite songs, that's another Ace song. Yeah, I think the only 2 songs I really don't like all that much on this album are What Makes the World Go Round and You're All That I Want. And again, they're not terrible songs, they're just kind of those kind of bland Kiss songs where you go, oh, yeah, they're catchy enough and they're alright, but just don't stand out too much. But apart from those 2 songs, I really like the rest of the album. So like, probably my favorite songs on this would be Is That You, Talk to Me, Two Sides of the Coin. Oh, Tomorrow is a good song as well. And yeah, Naked City. I don't know, all really good stuff. Anyway, so here's the cover. This is showing, it's like a comic strip, and what's cool in the vinyl version is you can see that in a lot of detail. So it's like paparazzi trying to photograph the band unmasked, and they can't catch them. And in the end, they say, okay, we're going to take the masks off, and then turns out to be a sham because they're still wearing the makeup. So in spite of the fact that this album is called Unmasked, they had no intention of taking the makeup off at this stage. It happened a couple of years later. But yeah, so just showing you the inlay. I don't think there's a lot in this one. No, in fact, fuck all. Yeah, just this one, and not released on Casablanca. This is a Mercury release. So there you go. But still, even though it was bought at a flea market in Thailand, very good condition. Yeah, they usually are, because I think there's like this prerequisite, you know, of selling them there. Like, it must be, even if it's at a flea market, it has to be in decent condition. Sometimes the covers are a bit beaten up though, but yeah. Okay, yep, so from 1980, Kiss's Unmasked. All right, and that'll do it for today, guys. So, like I said, thank you if you've got this far for watching this video. I am aware of the fact that most viewers of the channel do not like Kiss, do not care about Kiss, so I'm not expecting a lot of views or likes, but at the same time, my intention when I started this channel was to cover everything in my music collection, and I know not every video is always for everyone, but that's why I try and change it up. Like last one was extreme metal, this one was Kiss, the next one will be extreme metal, so I'm changing it up to try and keep it interesting and keep everyone watching who possibly can, while trying to cover the music collection. So there we go. The next hard rock heavy metal vinyl won't be for a while, but that's because there's a lot of other stuff coming, but I hope you continue to watch. So as always, thanks for your support of the channel, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you later. Cheers.